There is cooperation at global level and also at local and regional level. GWP is very much promoting multi-stakeholder partnerships. We understand that we cannot solve the problem alone. Actually, no one can solve water issues alone. So this is why we need all these partnerships. We partner with different stakeholders, with organizations, but also with the private sector, with civil society organizations, in order to promote these good practices that would eventually take us to water security.
Is the real problem, Konstantina, that people take water for granted?
Not everywhere in the world, Stephen. Apparently in developed countries, yes, we do take water for granted, and also the pandemic was an occasion of that. We had access to safe water so that we could wash our hands like 1,000 times a day. But these 2.1 billion of people who lack access to safe water don't take it for granted. Eventually, our work, also through the Sustainable Development Goals, is to achieve this water security, to allow access and to enable, actually, not allow, to enable access to safe water. So for these people, the ones that have to walk for kilometers, and for women that have to walk for kilometers to bring some water back home, for the people that don't have clean water, a source of clean water or access to treated water, water is not for granted.
Is enough being done to educate people about water?
Apparently not. I've been in the water sector for 12 years now, and while we have seen all these good efforts from many organizations, including the Global Water Partnership, apparently I believe that we have not done enough. Usually when we have a water crisis, either because of drought or because of climate change, we do have a campaign on water. But you will realize, and also looking at what has been happening all these past months, that we don't have enough campaigns, for example, on the use of water during the pandemic, of not letting your tap run while you're washing off your hands. I believe that we are not doing enough. There is a lot to be done, and eventually you can only change people's mindsets and people's behaviors only through education. So if you don't integrate education into the school curriculum, and you bring up these children with these principles of being not only cautious with water, but eventually to value water for all that it offers. It means not only sustaining our life, but it's also sustaining ecosystems, it's sustaining economic activities. So eventually we need to do more at schools, but also educate the parents, I would say.
And I suppose educate parents and children about the fact that water doesn't exist alone. It is connected, as you say, to climate and to energy, food, and all these other sectors. So it's an essential part of this formula.
Indeed, we cannot, most of the economic activities are related to water, either directly or indirectly. Even in processes and productions that are not related to water per se, we need, for example, cooling, and cooling usually comes from water. You use water to cool down your process. Energy is the same thing, apart from the obvious relation of hydropower. We do have all other energy-producing activities would also require water, but it's also the other way around. In order to produce water, or even to pump it up, even if you have water and you need to pump it up and you have to distribute it through your water supply networks, you need energy. So these are very, very closely interlinked, and they're also interlinked with other sectors. With food, for example, how can you produce food if you don't have water? We, in the water sector, among water organizations, we're working industriously towards linking all these sectors and understanding their interlinkages.
Konstantina Toli, thank you very much for joining us on The Agenda.
It's a real pleasure. Thank you very much for the opportunity, Stephen.